Okay, so let's try something a little different today. We're going to take this really abstract concept, awareness, and basically put it on an engineer's diagnostic bench. Think of your mind as an operating system. And today, we're going to find the bugs, install the patch, and roll out a massive, life-changing upgrade.
So let me ask you something. Does your life ever feel like it's running on some seriously buggy software? You know what I'm talking about. Those constant error messages of disappointment. The system freezes when you get frustrated. That general lag of unhappiness. Well, what if I told you those aren't just random glitches? Nope, they are predictable bugs in our source code. And the good news is, we're about to learn exactly how to debug them.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to run a diagnostic on what we'll call our flawed operating system. Then we'll get into the awareness upgrade and the 4-step algorithm to install it. After that, we'll check out what life is like on the new OS, which is freedom. And finally, we'll cover some daily system maintenance to keep it all running clean.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1, our flawed operating system. I mean, before you can patch anything, you gotta know where the code is broken, right? So let's diagnose the bug. And here it is, the first big revelation. The fundamental bug, it isn't out there in the world. It's right here, inside us, in our own perception. This quote from the source material just absolutely nails it. We see people and things not as they are, but as we are. Think about that. It means we are constantly filtering reality through our own personal lens. And that filter, well, it's causing some major, major bugs.
And you know where this bug gets really messy? In our relationships. On one hand, you've got the actual person. And on the other, you've got your projection, who you want them to be. The source material has this killer insight. We often don't fall in love with a person, but with our own, and this is a direct quote, prejudiced and hopeful idea of them. Wow. Talk about a critical system flaw, right?
So what happens when there's that gap between reality and our projection? You guessed it. We get stuck in this endless loop of disappointment, frustration, and suffering. It's basically a system crash, and it happens every single time the input from reality doesn't match what our faulty code expects.
Okay, let's talk about another piece of malware that gets installed when we're young, the approval addiction. This is a huge programming flaw. It's what makes our happiness totally dependent on what other people think, on their validation, their applause, their appreciation. The source even calls it being drugged, which is just the perfect analogy, isn't it? We basically outsource our controls, giving other people a remote to our own happiness and misery.
Okay, so we've spent enough time diagnosing the problem. Let's get to the good stuff, the solution. Section 2, the awareness upgrade. It's time to install the patch. So this right here, this is the core principle of the entire upgrade. What you are aware of, you are in control of. What you are not aware of is in control of you. Awareness is like the master key. It's what gives you root access to your own internal system. It lets you stop being a slave to all that unconscious programming that's been running your life. But listen, this is a really critical point. This patch isn't about fixing the world around you. The core idea here is that things don't need to be fixed, they need to be understood. So this upgrade is all about changing your internal processing, just by observing without judging. Because as the source so wisely points out, what you judge, you cannot understand. It's impossible.
Okay, so if this upgrade is so powerful, why isn't everyone just doing it? What are we so scared of? Well, here's the twist. It's not the unknown. The source makes this fascinating point. You actually cannot fear something you don't know. What we really fear is losing what we do know. We're terrified of letting go of our familiar, maybe even comfortable, but completely flawed belief systems. So how do we get past that fear? Let's get super practical. Section 3, the 4-step algorithm. Think of this as your installation guide. All right, here it is, the negative feeling algorithm. Just 4 simple steps. Step 1, you gotta identify the negative feeling. And this is crucial. Find it in you, not in whatever's happening outside. Step 2, understand that the feeling is in you, not in reality. This is a game changer. It means nobody has the power to make you unhappy. Step 3, you have to de-identify from it. That feeling isn't you. It's not, I am sad. It's just a passing feeling. It's temporary. And finally, step 4, you reframe. You realize that when you change, your whole world changes along with you. Now look, this isn't some magic script you run once and you're done. The source really emphasizes this. You've got to run this program over and over and over, maybe 1,000 times. Because every single time you do it, you're literally building a new neural pathway.
You're overriding decades of faulty code with conscious, deliberate action. So, what's it actually like to live with this upgrade installed? Well, that brings us to Section 4, Freedom, the new OS. Let's check out the user experience. Just look at the side-by-side here. The old OS, the asleep version, you're basically a slave to your programming. You need that constant approval from others, and your happiness is totally dependent on externals. But the new OS, the awake version, you're in control. You're free to love people without needing them. Your happiness comes from within. It is a complete and total paradigm shift. I absolutely love this next quote from the source because it just captures the feeling so perfectly. An awakened person dances to the tune of the music that springs up from within. You know, they're not marching to society's drum anymore. That is what real freedom feels like. And this all leads to this huge, profound realization. Happiness isn't something you go out and get. It's something you uncover inside yourself. The source material is so clear on this. Happiness is your nature. It doesn't live in someone else. Once you debug the system, once you get rid of all the interference, happiness is simply the default setting. All right, last part. Once the new OS is up and running, how do you keep it that way? Section 5, Daily System Maintenance. This is all about keeping your code clean. So, what does that look like? Here's your daily maintenance checklist. First, just observe things without slapping a judgment on them. Try to understand your desires. Don't just mindlessly chase them. Next, try dropping your opinions for a minute so you can actually see what's true. And remember, don't identify with those feelings that come and go. They aren't you. And finally, experience each moment for what it is, and then just let it go. No need to carry that baggage into the next moment. And all of this brings us to one final powerful idea that kind of flips everything on its head. Imagine you see someone who's gone through this process, an awakened person, and they're just genuinely, effortlessly happy. And you go up to them and you ask, "Why are you happy?" And they look back at you and just say, "Why not?" And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? Happiness isn't some prize you win. It's just what's left over when you finally debug all that faulty programming, all those illusions that were causing unhappiness in the first place. It is our system's natural default state. Pretty powerful stuff.